Yesterday, I was going through my old darkroom stuff and trying to sell some things which I never used, and I still find out that I have a box of Intrepid Enlarger, and for me it's curious because I used it probably twice, and after that it's just collecting dust on my shelf. And based on this information, I actually asked my subscribers, do they want a video with a modification and basically fixing the common problems with this enlarger. A lot of people have this enlarger. Half of the people have the problem with the enlarger and half of the people just curious what you can do with the enlarger, how you can modify it. And for me, it's quite an important topic and I will touch on many points in this video, but I will start with the one thing. If you want to buy the new enlarger on the market today, you basically have two options. First option is a Kaiser enlarger made in Germany, it's quite expensive one, and the second one is Intrepid Enlarger, and you don't really have other options on the market which I can feel that I can recommend. And I honestly, as you saw in my previous video, which I'll put in the links below, also I don't really feel comfortable to recommend this type of enlarger. And I was thinking that I wanna kind of sell it to the people, especially I can sell it for cheap, but I just realized that on a used market, price of this enlarger is basically doesn't exist and you cannot really sell it anymore. And I was sitting here and thinking how I can get better. Why I don't use this tool, what is the common problems as a user, what I experience, and can I fix these problems for me personally and honestly for the community. What I'm trying to describe, and you probably know it from many people, that's usability and how the Intrepid Enlarger assembled, made, thought of doesn't really fit a lot of people. I don't want to bash the people who make it because the price is quite low and it's quite hard to actually produce something like that with that price. So I have a few technical problems with the enlarger and I thought years ago that the company will fix it and the company will improve and change design and different manufacturing practices will be involved after commenting from many bloggers that they experience this type of problems. And I think the second revision maybe is somewhere there, but it's past several years and I don't see any updates on that. I just decided we don't have time to wait and we just need to do it ourselves. First thing what I want to modify is the front panel and lens mount on this enlarger. It's a 4 screws from all sides and easy to remove with the bellows, and the next step we need to unscrew the bellows from the plate. And here is a funny place where you can say hello to Intrepid camera team. Looks like this front panel printed from the Prusa PLA and with the heat inserts. And for the lens you have a metal insert with the threads. I will try to make this video short because I was starting to make a list of the modifications which I want to make to this enlarger. And basically I realized that I'm building my own enlarger from scratch and in design is much better than Intrepid Enlarger. The first problem with the enlarger is the bottom plate. And the bottom plate is quite crucial thing for enlarger and it solves a lot of problems in future with the enlarger. So first of all, you have a plate which goes with the enlarger and it's constantly fixed on a surface on the enlarger. So you screw in your lens and when it's tight, I have a problem that my enlarger was coming in that direction. So I cannot see the F numbers. So basically your F numbers looks somewhere oddly in the opposite direction. And if you want to put the different lens on the plate, and for example, for this one, it goes a little bit left side, so you never have it. So the main question is, can we improve this design? Can we make it better? I know that you can easily buy the lens boards from the different enlargers. In my case, it's a Darst enlarger, and the Darst enlarger have this serial plastic or metal, different types of lens boards. So advantage of the lens board, you store the lens board like that, and you can pop it up in the enlarger and you can rotate it whatever you want, and basically you fix it on a side. So I want to implement this feature which almost every enlarger on the planet have in the Intrepid Enlarger. So I made the first prototype, and this first prototype have a hole in the middle for the lens plate, and it's a size for the Darst enlarger lens plate. I optimized it for 3D printing, so you can easily print it with a one go without any supports. I also modeled the surface of the clamping of the lens boards, as they just different with a different depth. And I have one simple clamp with the 2 screws which you can lock and unlock. I decided for this project to use glass-filled ABS because it will give me a little bit more stiffness, and in the same time I want this part to last long and have ability to withstand some pressure from my clamping. And this is why I really like 3D printing, so I can make a raw prototype, and after that I can realize I failed. When you have mechanical prototype in hand, you can test that, for example, your tolerance and fits works perfectly fine. The lens actually in the hole, the holes actually aligned and everything kind of fine. But because of the lens plate is not cylinder, it's not enough to have only one clamp from one side. And for that you definitely need a mechanical prototype. But anyway, you can test additional things like a test fit and collision prevention if you have a lens on top. I get back to the drawing board and make the design with additional complications. On opposite side I added 2 mounts and now I have a flange on the same design. So I thought I wanna make a hinge. It's not the perfect idea, but I just wanna try it, why not? So I make the opposite clamp, and now you have a hinge and clamp mechanism which can close your lens mount. And after a few hours I have a freshly baked parts which I can test. Because I'm using heated chamber, my parts is extremely strong, and in the same time, because it's a glass-filled ABS, it has quite nice texture to touch. So let's make a dry fit of the hinge and make dry fit of the whole assembly and see if my calculations works correctly and the lid is opened. So everything looks fine, so let's continue with the installation of the heat insert in the hinge mechanism and the pin for holding together 2 parts of the hinge. Hinge mechanism works fine, so let's continue with the test fit and heat inserts installation in the rest of the part. I really like the heat inserts because it allows you to apply much more pressure with the tightening of the screws, and in the same time you can disassemble and assemble the things back. Unfortunately, I don't really have a special installation tool, so if you want to support my channel, subscribe or subscribe to my Ko-fi supporter page. And because my supporters make this type of videos possible, they will get 3D models for all of the prints what I have in this video for free. I made quite interesting mechanism for the hinge, so you can unmount and mount it back with the lid closed, and I have additional hole, which I will get back in a few minutes. I decided to use the big screw for the mounting of the lens because I don't want to use the key all the time, so it's quite easy to unscrew with the fingers. As you can see, I have an even gap between the both sides, and it means I have a space between the hinge. And this is exactly why I have additional screw hole there. It allows me to get the proper parallel alignment and have good clamping. And let's make the final assembly of the bellows to the main structure and put everything together on the main body of the enlarger. So far everything looks great and I have alignment with the holes and I easily assemble everything together, and even hinge works perfectly fine. I'm quite happy with the result, and let's see how it works in a practical way on the stand. And because we're not redesigning the whole enlarger from scratch in these circumstances and just replacing one part, I really like the result. And now I can use both lenses on the lens boards. And to make it better, I think it's only one way to redesign the whole chuck and make a front loading of the lens. I tested everything in the dark and everything works fine, so we have one additional chapter. You can also download the simplified versions of the clamps, which I have on my Ko-fi webshop. But because now we have a unified adapter, I can put my macro lens and make macro lens adapter. This adapter requires only one screw hole, so it requires only one tap, and you can lock your lens with the tension on the spring lever with the printed part. And because I designed everything to be replaced without opening, it's quite nice and easy to remove and put the new adapters on this plate. It creates opportunity to make the system modular, and you can design all the parts whatever you want. So you don't need a stand to scan your photos, and this is how it looks like. I definitely don't think this is the best idea ever, but in the same time you get the idea of modularity, and in the same time, if your modules is compatible with the different brands, different products, you can stack up from the enlarger to the film scanner to the different types of projectors and things like that. And simplified clamps also works just with applying pressure from both sides and tightening the screws. And this video I want to use as example to bring positive sides from the past. Any type of enlarger, Kaiser or Darst or whatever type of enlarger you have, most of them are modular. You can replace the hat, you can replace the light source, you can put the color hat, you can put a black and white hat, and they have interchangeable parts, lenses, and many different types of stuff. And this type of enlargers, they're not really modular, and we need to bring back the open source hardware and actually try to think about the business model. how to make the open source hardware works for our darkroom. And as always, all my monthly supporters on Ko-fi will get the discounts on my products and also have 3D files from these projects for free. Stay tuned. Thank you for watching, subscribe to my channel, and see you next time.